Good morning, class. My name is Paul Walker, and I'm a student in Dr. Troy Kickler's public history class. And I am working on my multimedia assignment, and will soon have that put together. The topic I've selected is the Purple Heart. I have 3 of those, and I thought you might find it interesting. Anyway, let me begin, and the story begins with our first president, George Washington. At the end of the Revolutionary War, Washington was cleaning out his desk and putting his paperwork in order, and he found that there were some men that he had not written up awards for. And so about the time that Washington was recommending them for promotion, he was contacted by our Congress to say, General Washington, you no longer have the authority to promote. You promoted too many people, and you're busting the budget there for your headquarters. So Washington lost the ability to promote, and he sat down with his wife Martha to come up with some way to recognize the service of outstanding soldiers. And so what the 2 of them came up with was a little piece of purple felt in the shape of a heart. This was mainly the inspiration of Martha Washington. She had cut out 7 of these purple hearts, had stitched merit across the front of them, and put a gold border. And General Washington put out a general order about the Purple Hearts. And there he explained what they were, the little piece of felt, but that entitled the wearer to go to the front of lines, be exempt from special duty like KP, and that they deserve the highest respect of their fellow servicemen. Anyway, that's how the Purple Heart started, and Washington gave 7 of those away, and we have documented who those 7 were, all very deserving men from the Revolutionary War. And then the Purple Heart died out until about 1932, when General Douglas MacArthur was selected as the Chief of Staff of the Army. And MacArthur had been the highest decorated officer in World War I. He always felt very badly that young men were drafted, trained, sent to France, and in many cases they were killed or seriously wounded and their bodies shipped back home, and they didn't go home with anything acknowledging their service or their sacrifice. And MacArthur thought this was wrong. And so when he was Chief of Staff of the Army in about 1932, he contacted Tiffany's in New York, the jeweler, and asked them if they would design an appropriate medal to symbolize the Purple Heart. And they did, and on my uniform here today is what they came up with. It's actually a piece of jewelry with a piece of ribbon on it, and very, very well done, but it's highly valued in our services and out. One of the things that we remember the Purple Heart for is whenever we had the 50th anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, the Smithsonian Institute had reconditioned the Enola Gay, the B-29 bomber that dropped the bomb. And so they had spent millions of dollars reconditioning this plane. And on the eve of the 50th anniversary, the staff moved that big bomber out on the mall, and underneath they put up a sign. The wheels were down, of course, and the wings stretched for about 150 feet on either side. There was a plaque put underneath that said, "This is the bomber that dropped the first atomic bomb and caused a needless slaughter of the Japanese people." And it wasn't long before the newspapers picked up on that, and the Air Force Reserve got a hold of that and said, you know, that's wrong. It was not a needless slaughter, that it saved a lot of lives and a lot of American lives. We were all set to invade Japan, and so we were geared up for 1 million casualties. By dropping the bomb, we didn't suffer those 1 million casualties, and the Japanese didn't lose another 10 million people. So there was some justification, and I know the modern revisionists are quick to say, well, you know, there was never going to be 1 million casualties. We were going to do it in a different way so it wouldn't produce all those casualties. But the thing that disproves that is the fact that Douglas MacArthur, his staff, had ordered 500,000 Purple Hearts to be manufactured, and they were delivered prior to the invasion date. So MacArthur certainly believed that they were going to take a lot of casualties, and his staff believed that. So it was not something that was made up. And the one that I'm wearing on my chest could be one of those 500,000. They were in the Army inventory for at least 50 years. We just don't use that many Purple Hearts. And so some people think there are still those Purple Hearts within our system, that we haven't ordered new ones for many, many years. Anyway, the Purple Heart symbolizes courage and suffering and sacrifice. And when you see somebody wearing one, it always means that they have served in combat against a hostile force and been wounded. And so we need to remember that and honor our Purple Heart recipients. I want to make sure that I give due credit to the Purple Heart organization, that as part of a full disclosure, I want to let you know that I am the national historian for the Military Order of the Purple Heart. I put out a monthly magazine, and I've contributed about 30 articles for publication, all about historians and figures in history like Custer and Patton and MacArthur. And so that magazine has been mine for about the last 5 years. Anyway, I would also like to mention a book that I have used as a resource. William Manchester wrote a book entitled American Caesar, all about the life of Douglas MacArthur. MacArthur didn't like the way Manchester had handled that, so he came along and wrote his own autobiography entitled Reminiscence. And I have quoted that a few times, particularly about the Purple Heart and about the 500,000 that were made for the invasion of Japan. Anyway, I hope that clears the record and allows you to get a better picture of where my sources were. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you at graduation. Thank you.